Hello and welcome to the Clients First webinar on what's new in Microsoft Dynamics NAV 2013. My name's Thomas Faltike. A few of you may know me. I'm a senior consultant and part of the management team here at Clients First. And with me today will be our presenter from Microsoft, Tom Taylor, who will be working with me. What I thought I'd do for a few minutes in the beginning is just mention a few items. One, we also have Andy Conti on the phone who will be here to help capture any questions you may have during the webinar. Everyone is currently muted, so there is a feature on the webinar to ask questions or to raise your hand. Andy will collect those, and we are providing enough time at the end for a proper Q&A for anyone that has questions for Tom or myself. With that, Tom, if you could go to the next slide. Just very quickly, for those of you who are not familiar with Clients First, we are a national organization here in the U.S. We're one of the larger Microsoft NAV partners and actually started working with NAV when it was first called Attain here in the U.S. back in November of 1996. So we have a long history and experience of working with NAV and very excited about what 2013 can provide to all of you. We are an organization with over 79 employees, well over 600 customers, and our focus is primarily manufacturing and distribution. We do have a large number of standards and awards that are out there. The key one here is that we are a gold ERP partner with Microsoft. And Tom, if you can just go to the next slide for me. As you can see, our offices are geographically laid out to where you would typically see manufacturing and distribution organizations throughout the central area, the Gulf states, the East Coast and West Coast. It also allows us to work with many of our international customers, both over in the EU as well as in the Pacific Basin. So it gives us a broad reach and allows us to reach multiple time zones to meet the needs of our customers, both nationally and internationally. Next slide, please, Tom. Just a little bit about some of our expertise for those of you that may be working with us or prospects. We do a lot of project-based, both manufacturing as well as consulting for some of the professional services areas. We do a lot, again, with ETO or MTO type of organizations. A very strong area is around wholesale or consumer packaged good distribution areas, or CPG, food distribution, food processing, and another of our vertical areas is around MRO, which is considered maintenance, repair, and overhaul for large equipment, large systems, airplanes, aircrafts, motors, engines, and the like. So we do have a variety of areas, again, all focused on manufacturing and distribution areas. And what I'd like to just touch on briefly here is going into NAV 2013, what do you get out of this and what is so exciting at a very high level? So Tom, if you could just go to the next slide so I can transition it over. This is the first client that's allowing us to have 3 different ways of you having access to the data here. So you have the traditional window client that most of you have today on a desktop or on a laptop. A web client, a true web-based client now that eliminates some of the needs that we've had in the past using a terminal server or a Windows, Citrix server environment, something like that, as well as then a SharePoint client or a light user to have access to it. If you can just click again, please. So this is going to allow us to look at the core functionality, having full access to the products, and having what you're used to from a Windows environment. The next one, please. From a web perspective, again, having a full breadth and depth, being able to access it from wherever you are, the ability to use potential mobile devices, tablets, Surface, whatever it is that you would use. And then for lighter users, Tom, on the SharePoint client there, the ability to have access to as I need it, or people in the organization that don't require it all the time. And what this allows us to do really is to look at the 3 mantras or pillars of where NAV can go. One more click, please. And that's really where we're taking NAV 2013, is to give you as the customer greater control around how you're going to access data, where you're going to get it, the ability to increase your margins because you have control not only from a cash flow perspective and some of the other new items that Tom will take you through, but also the ability to drive growth because of its still ability to be personalized and to be modified to the way that you need it for your business. With that, I'd like to introduce Tom Taylor from Microsoft. And Tom, I will let you take this away and begin the rest of this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thomas, and welcome everyone to today's webcast. It's my pleasure to give another one of these NAV 2013 overviews. Today's presentation is going to consist of a lot of demonstrations. There'll be a few slides, but I really want to show the product and show why the feedback we're getting from NAV 2013 is outstanding, both from the partner community as well as from the customer community. And hopefully at the end of this overview, you'll feel the same way. So let's go ahead and get started. The agenda today is, first I'll talk just at a very high level about the offerings of Dynamics NAV 2013. And as you all know, NAV 2013, the predecessor was NAV 2009, which actually was a transformation of the product from our classic client to our role-tailored client. And so this is really the end of that journey in NAV 2013. We've now completed, we've eliminated in NAV 2013 the classic client. It's the development environment now, no longer a user environment. I also want to talk about choice, and that's a good lead to a couple slides back that Tom showed where we have different clients to access NAV for different users in your organization, internal and external. And then we want to talk about the three scenarios. What's important to your business, of being able to gain greater control of your information, be able to increase your margins, and drive growth in your business. And then to kind of wrap it up, we'll give just a little high-level overview of features and functions by some of the main areas. Is there a question? I'm sorry. So one of the things about NAV 2013 that was different from NAV 2009 is that the 2009 releases, both the first release, the SP1 and the R2, were a lot around technology and role centers and three-tier architectures and integrations. And really NAV 2013, I mean, we still did extension, you'll notice on the technology side here, and we'll dive deep into many of these components on technology. But I want to draw your attention to the left-hand side because we've actually done application enhancements to the product as well. And we'll take a look at several of these different enhancements on the application side as well as the technology side. And if you have more questions about this information, I recommend you go to Customer Source, and the documents of what's new in NAV 2013 are all posted there. Another thing I'd like to share about NAV 2013 is the Microsoft Development Network, MSDN, at www.msdn.com. And all of the application and developers type documentation is available on MSDN. So you can just go out there, NAV 2013, do a search on it, and read in detail about all these great enhancements to the product. So with that, let's go ahead, and this is kind of a takeoff of Tom's slide a minute ago of how we give you choice today in using Dynamics NAV 2013. And if you look at across the top here, the three clients, we have the Windows client, the web client, and the SharePoint client. And we no longer, in NAV 2009, we use that role-tailor client term. In essence, all three of these clients, Windows, web, and SharePoint, are all role-tailored. So we've kind of dropped that as a role-tailored client, and we refer to them as Windows, web, and SharePoint clients. The other choice that we give you as customers is how you deploy the application. I mean, in the past, in the majority of my career, a lot of things have been on-premise and in data centers at your site, or there's been moves, to go to partner-hosted, where you have partners that host the application. That's another choice of Dynamics NAV 2013 through one of our hosting partners. Or we offer, and this just became available on June the 6th, just less than a little over 10 days ago, the ability to deploy NAV 2013 in a Microsoft data center in a Windows Azure environment. And that's really in the cloud. I mean, in essence, you are running the application, both partner-hosted and Microsoft-hosted, in the cloud and not on-premise. And we'll take a look at both the on-premise and the Microsoft-hosted clients in today's presentation. So with that, let's go ahead and get started and take our first look at demonstrations. So I'm going to go back here and just go to my start bar and start up the Dynamics NAV 2013 client. And you'll notice here in 2009 we gave the ability to have the jump list here based upon your role of certain things you can execute. So when I launched this role center, this is an accounting manager role center that I'm going to demonstrate. And I know a lot of times for Microsoft we show sales, and I'm going to give you some different looks today in today's presentation. But what you'll probably first notice, if you were familiar with NAV 2009, is the first thing that will draw to your attention here is the ribbon at the top of the page and how that's been enhanced in NAV 2013. We actually called it the action pane in NAV 2009. We've now officially renamed it to the ribbon after the Office product. And what we've done here for this accounting manager's role center is we've grouped the different types of actions, the different reports, balances, analysis, consolidation, and setup functionalities in the ribbon on the accounting managing role center. And when we look today at the president's role center or the production planner or the order processor, each of these ribbons now have these tabs that group functionality as well as the groups within the tab. And it's very easy here to actually right-click and customize this ribbon, just like you would, in any of the Windows products. Now, this is the Windows client that we're looking at that's installed on my laptop. And there's different ways now in security with NAV 2013 as well. In this case, I'm using the Microsoft Windows Authentication security based upon my domain. But as part of 2013, we can also use the Access Control Service Authentication, which allows you to set up authentication to access Dynamics NAV, for example, from Windows Live ID, from a Google ID, IDs from other systems you can use to access the application, again, to extend outside your organization. As well as there's also security with NAV password security. And you'll actually see that when I log into the Azure Microsoft-hosted instance here in just a couple minutes. Now, other things here for those of you not familiar with the role centers that have used the classic client, we called it. You have a search bar up here in the top right-hand corner. And this allows us to just basically type and then go find, for example, I'm looking for manager timesheets. I type in manager, that pops up all the different things in the action pane that actually tie to that. As well as in NAV 2013, we've kind of changed around how we customize, for example. So in NAV 2009, you would customize over here on the right-hand side. Now it's moved to the left-hand side under Customize. And this is where you can customize your ribbon, your page, and your specific settings. We've also added the ability now from the Windows client is to select your server, on which server that you want to access. So you can switch between different instances of servers by changing that, as well as also changing your company information and language as well. On the navigation pane here, and again for the accounting manager, we've got different groups of like approvals and journals that we've organized. And all of this can be personalized by the end user. And again, that's something that can be turned off if you don't want your end users to personalize role centers, but you have the option of offering that so they can arrange things the way that they specifically do work. If I go here, for example, from the Account Manager Role Center and I click on the items here, you'll notice that when I do that, that the work area that I had before is now listing the various items in my demo company, along with these fact boxes that have additional information about these various items as I click on them. So I can scroll down, and the fact boxes will then update. We've added new reporting in NAV 2013, and if I go over here, let's see, to the Navigate group on the Items tab, I've got a new cost shares report that I can actually generate. And again, this just allows us to actually have to select an item that has a bill of material. So let's scroll down to here, one of these guys, one of these, and we can select the cost report. And actually, I want to go to LS100. So I can just use my quick filter here, just type in LS, and get to the 100s, and then go up to my action pane, and then generate this report. And again, as you can see, very similar, but gives you great graphical capabilities with how we've enhanced reporting in NAV 2013. Because these reports are based upon the SQL report definition type reports. And you can see it breaks down my different cost components here for that specific assembled item. Now, this is taking a look here at the accounting manager. And what I want to do is quickly close out of this accounting manager. And I'm going to go to my desktop. And I've got a shortcut to go what's called in the configuration mode of the accounting manager. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start up the accounting manager now. And what this allows me to do, this configuration mode, is to configure for my department so all of my folks see the same type of things. But the reason I want to configure is I want to jump down here to my browser to Internet Explorer. And actually what I'm going to launch here is I'm going to launch the web client. And so as I now went to IE here, for example, I'm looking at the web client and the default profiles based upon my user ID here as administrator. And I can see the same look and feel that I had on my Windows client. Now, as you look at this Windows client here, you can see the ribbon is the exact same way with all the different choices. We can run reports off of this ribbon. For example, an aged AR report, we can generate that. Again, you can preview it to the screen. You can open it in a PDF file. Let's just do a quick preview here. So this would be from my web client, the ability to actually generate a report in a print preview mode. Or as you noticed, I could actually send that to a PDF file. Now, as you can see, the web client looks very similar to the Windows client. And the way the web client gets personalized is by going to configuration mode for the Windows client. So what I'd like to do here is on my customers, I would like to add the customer's balance onto my web client. And so what I can do is go into my configuration mode here. Actually, this client here I'm going to shut down. And I'm going to go over here to my customers, and I'm just going to right-click and add the balance to this my customers. And because I'm in configuration mode, what that will do, if I go back over here to my Windows client, and let's just close it down, close all tabs and reopen it back up, then you'll see that personalization that was made from the Windows client over on the web client. And now you can see that the balance has been added. Now, one thing that you might notice when you're looking at the web client versus the Windows client there are a few differences. For example, the cash flow, the Connect Online, the Microsoft Outlook. You'll notice those are not in the web client. The web client will run all of the pages and reporting in NAV 2013. However, it does not allow the extensibility that the Windows client has in the first version of the web client. And actually, that's something that's coming in our next version of NAV, which is called Sicily is the code name. And a lot of the client extensibility integrations that aren't in the web client in 2013 are going to be added. So something to look forward to. But as far as the activity queues, the customer list, and all the other various sessions, everything is identical in the web client. Now, I'd like to also point out here that you'll notice down here on my taskbar, I also have the Firefox client, the Chrome client, and Safari clients. And I'll click each of these, and these will fire up. So NAV 2013 will not only run in Internet Explorer, it'll run in these other browsers as well. So not like Firefox and Chrome, we'll get these fired up because I can run those on my Windows. The Safari here will only run on Apple iOS devices such as an iPad. So if you have an iPad and with Safari, you can then access NAV. Here all I'm seeing on Safari when I access it here is the actual, so go back to the Safari, I'm actually seeing the SharePoint client. But if I come over here to Chrome, this is NAV 2013, again, running in the Chrome browser, as well as here in the actual Firefox browser. So that gives you a glimpse of the web client in NAV 2013. And as I mentioned as well, there's also here the SharePoint client that allows us. In this case here, this is a portal in the SharePoint client. And it allows me to run individual pages. So in a little while longer in demonstration, we'll look at my timesheets. But for this purpose, let's look at the item catalog. Because this shows how we can take data in Dynamics NAV, structured data in our ERP database, and connect that with unstructured data in an item catalog. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this item catalog. Let's go ahead. And this is the SharePoint client that we're running. And what you'll see is a list of documents here at the top, and my item is at the bottom. So these are two web parts that are contained, one being the document list, the other being NAV. And so now I'm on the bicycle, and I see I have 3 different documents. But if I click down here, for example, on the rim, you'll notice that these documents will then actually change. So I have different documents associated. I have different documents associated with different items. So this allows us to marry data in SharePoint, unstructured data, with data in your ERP application, Dynamics NAV 2013. We'll come back here in a moment, in a few minutes, actually, to the website for SharePoint. So with that, let's go ahead and go back over here to the PowerPoint. And you can kind of see here that if you look at the Windows client, you think about, I use Outlook. And the Outlook client, I communicate with that all the time when I'm on my laptop or my desktop. But there's times when I'm out on the road that I want to use my web client to access that. So think about NAV in similarities to the way you'd use, the web client for Outlook versus using the rich web client. And you can see that at this point in 2013, there's some functionality that's in the Windows client that's not available in the web client, as I mentioned, the client extensibility stuff. But then, when you look at the SharePoint client, you can see how it extends out past what the Windows client can do by actually being able to integrate that unstructured data with structured data in your ERP application. So, with that said, we've looked at the different choices you have as customers. Let's talk about the 3 areas of gaining greater control in your business, how you can go about doing that. And we'll look at that from the aspect of Charlie here, the president of a small, medium business. We'll also look at Susan and how she can increase margins in her business. And that's actually by increasing productivity with new productivity tools introduced in NAV 2013. And then how we can drive growth and extend the application out to others, both internal and external, in our organization. So what we want to do here is look at Charlie, and again, a president of a small, medium business, and what tools does he have to better empower him about what's the pulse of the business. So I'm going to go now back to Dynamics NAV 2013, and I'm going to close down the Accounting Manager, go to my desktop here, and I want to start up and log in. Just 1 second here. It's not quite what I wanted to do. Let's go back over here. I want to log in here as Charlie. Now, Charlie's connected into a different company where a minute ago. This is the Cronus Extended. And this database, this is a sample database as well, but it's a little more realistic because it has over 2.5 million transactions in it. And so, for Charlie to look at the status of his business, he may want to look at things historically. In this case, you'll notice that when Charlie opens up, this is the Windows client, and as he looks at his role center, you can see he has financial performance and sales performance type charts on his role centers. And this allows Charlie to basically get an idea of how sales, in this case, have happened over the last 5 years. So if you look now at this chart in the left-hand corner, financial performance, we're looking at this by month. But I can actually change the period length of this chart and say, look at it by year. And now I have the 5 years worth of data. So I can see that, for example, here. Notice that when I click on 2006, it drills me down here to the actual chart of accounts, to the analysis view of the entries for 2006. So these reports, these financial performance reports, they're built off the existing account schedules in Dynamics NAV. So if I drill down here, and this is something end users can actually do with a little bit of training, to be able to take the financial data that's in NAV from account schedules and be able to turn it into a chart to get a graphical representation with drill down capabilities. So I can select the chart here, and as I go out and look at the chart, and I say edit, and then if you'll notice here, as I pull down, these are the account schedules that were in my demo database. And the one I used here was the revenue chart. So if I just jump out here, this is the revenue chart. If I give that an overview here, you can look at the information here that we're actually charting. So this is for January of 2011, and I can go through my various periods. In this case, I'm going backwards and looking at the changes in my chart. All I've done with this charting tool is the ability to actually graph this on the screen and then give the ability of the end user to select the period length that they want to look at. So now we're looking at year. Maybe we say we look at quarter. And we can see a quarter here that it looks like in April of 2007, we're below. This is our budget figures, and these are actual figures. We're below those figures. So maybe we're interested in the detail that's driving that. So again, we can click on this to drill down, can see my net change amount that makes up the balance. Here I can click in to see all my detailed transactions. And then, I'm specifically interested in this one here for $25,000. And then I could actually continue to drill down here and actually navigate then back to the actual source transactions that made that up. So again, for Charlie to gain greater control, we can get graphical representation of any of the accounting type stuff that you can present onto the role center. Now I'm going to escape and return back to the role center. Now, financial performance is around account schedules. Sales performance, purchasing performance, and inventory performance also exist. And they're driven off of the analysis reports. So for example, sales analysis reports are driven, this graph called sales performance is driven off my sales analysis reports. And this is my key account sales, is what I have actually graphed here on this role center. And as I look at this, these are the different accounts. That's the Consolidated Messenger, Southridge Video, Lucerne Publishing. And again, I can drill down here and look at the detailed transactions that make that up from the role center. Now, these are what we would call charts that are predefined based upon account schedules and the analysis reports. We also have the ability to build, off of our list, specific generic charts, we call them. These are the specific charts, and what I want to show now is the generic charts. And to do that, I'm going to actually, Charlie's going to actually go just to his customer list here, and a list of the customers that are in the database. And we have on our ribbon now a show chart feature here. So what I want to do is I want to show a chart, and I'm interested in the chart of all balances due, okay? So I want balance due in local currency, and I want that by my customer name. And again, as these are a list of the fields in that customer table, I just hit it in here. It takes me down to name. I can select the names. And then I'd like to put a filter here of only balances over $5,000 because I've got a lot of stuff here now on my graph. I'm only specifically interested, so I can set a filter here at where my balance due, local currency, say is greater than $5,000. Now, so I'm on a list here, notice on a customer list, and now I've updated, and I can actually right-click here and say Customize. And I can change the different view of my charts. In 2009, we had charting capabilities, required that you knew XML, and it also, all the charts from the color green. So if you like the color green, everything was good. But with 2013, we give you the ability to have different chart types. So not only column and stack column, but for example, pie, donut, range. And we can have different metrics when we do these charts. Now, this chart that I've done here, I'm going to actually copy this chart, and I'm going to call this is my initials, TPT001 is the chart ID, and it's customer balance greater than $5,000. Now, I'm going to save that as a generic chart. And what I also want to do is, when I come to my customers windows here, as I go back to my customer window, so I'll wait on the system to respond here. Yeah, let's just open that back up again. Let's go back to Charlie here. And I want to go back to the customer. So we look at customers, and I want to show us a chart. And then that chart should generate here. Now what I can do too is I save this as a generic chart, but I can also save a filter over here on the left-hand side of my navigation pane. So let's go here and say, we'll do the balance due again. I seem to have lost my $5,000. And then what I can do here is save this. I can say save a view as customers balance due greater than 5,000, and that'll update my navigation pane, so I can look at the customer list here, and so I can have a show list here, or I can look at my customer balances greater than $5,000. Now the other thing that I did was, remember I copied this chart into generic charts. So what I have the ability to do is, so for any list, you can create a generic chart. And what I want to do is put that chart on this Wool Center with my specific charts. So again, I'll do a personalization here, customize, and I want to customize this page, and I want to add a chart part, is what it's called. And I want to customize this chart part, and it was TPT001. Pick that one right there. And I'll move this to the left below the Connect Online. And now I was able to actually take the customer balance and display this now on the main page of my Wool Center. So again, you can take information in 2013 and create graphs and place these in generic charts right on your Wool Center. The other thing I'll mention about the charting capabilities, we also have those as fact boxes now. So you can also do charts in fact boxes with the application. One other thing I'd like to show around gaining greater control in your business is the ability to send to Excel. And actually, I don't have to do it from up here. There's multiple ways to get there. I've got a button right up here on the ribbon. And what this will do is send this list of customers, however I've personalized it, so I can get my columns. It'll send it to Excel. 2013 has created an add-in to Excel. So as we push this data out to Excel, we'll have all the rows and columns just like I've personalized on my Wool Center here. But then, if I want to update this, I don't have to go back out and re-export from Dynamics NAV 2013 any longer. because the add-in allows me to do a refresh. So just a second here, we'll populate these customers. So these are the customers I've exported. You'll notice that we have all the filter buttons along with this. And what I kind of wanted to show here is we have the Dynamics NAV with the refresh button. So if I go back over here now to this customer list, and let's just add a new customer. So we're just going to let the system assign a new customer number. Should begin with a C here, I would think. And I'll put in new customer. And we've added that now to NAV. If I come back over to my Excel spreadsheet here, I just click that refresh button. It'll go back and reread. And if I page down here, we'll see the new customer that we just added. So again, a nice feature to be able to export from any list in NAV your data out. And then if there was a pivot table or something built upon this data, it would automatically be refreshed and update your pivot tables or pivot charts or slicers or whatever you've created with all the great Excel functionality. So, as you can see, there's a lot of things in NAV 2013. And you can see Charlie smiling here. That's because he does have a pulse on what he can get from his business as far as charting. In addition to that as well, we also have Jet Reports Express available. And this came out in NAV 2009 R2. And this is an extension from Jet Reports that allows you to actually be able to produce financial statements as well as also ad hoc queries, in addition to all the other things I've shown you about NAV 2013. So let's just go back here quickly and take a quick look. And I'm going to open up, first of all, my desktop. I'm going to go and open up. This is an example of how, with Jet Express, that I can, let's see, I need to close this one down. Open it up one more time. There we go. So this is an example of how I can build with Jet Express a financial statement. And so what I've done is I just went into the chart of accounts in NAV and just copied the account number and wages for a select group of accounts that I'm interested in building a financial statement for. And you'll notice that in Excel here, I have a Jet tab. And with this Jet tab, I've created today's balance, and that's done with this general ledger function in Jet. So if I open this up, today's balance is pulled here from the balance fields from Dynamics NAV, and then it's using the account number from cell C10. And so that gives me the entire balance in that account as of today. If I look at the balance on the date, you'll notice here, and I open up the general ledger function on the tab, you can see it still refers to cell C10, but this one, it just uses the date, April 1st of 2013, as my end date for selecting the balance figure. And then as I go across on a monthly change, you'll notice it's going to have a from and a to. So it's using the April 1st date to April 30th, giving me a range of dates. And then the same thing happens for credits and debits here. I'm choosing my credit amounts that you'll notice, and I'm choosing my debit amounts using those date ranges. Now, once you create your columns, so you can get your balances, you can get your budget information, you can get prior year, prior quarter, it's unlimited how you can use Excel to reference stuff. And then all you have to simply do is to generate this for all columns. It's to simply copy this down, and because it's Excel, it uses the referential integrity here, and will now update all of those balances. So now you'll notice it's updating the balances in Excel based upon the April 1st to April 30th of 2013. And then, for example, I've been interested in salaries here for the balance on this date. I can actually do a drill down here to see the details that make that up. So here I'm drilling down to look at the detailed ledger transactions that make up that $588,000. So this is one example of what Jet Express can do for you from a financial perspective. The other thing we can do is we can also build ad hoc query reports with this tool. So I'm going to go ahead and close this worksheet out and create another new worksheet. Let's do a blank worksheet here. And this time, I'm going to use the table builder. And this gives me access to all the tables in Dynamics NAV 2013. And what I'm going to go quickly do is just do item ledgers here. I'm going to do my item ledger entries. I can pull those up. And then once I select that, you can see I have my various fields. So I want the entry number. Notice as I type, it starts filtering on my fields. I want the entry number. I want the posting date, as well as I want the item number. I want the location. And notice as I select them, it puts the fields across the top. I also want to get flow fields, which would be my numerical field, my amount field. So I'm going to do my sales amount here, actual sales amount, along with cost actual amount. And you can see how I now am populating. So this is retrieving data ad hoc, against Dynamics NAV. And I can modify these columns here. So maybe I just want to say sales amount, take the actual out of there. Let's see, highlight that, get rid of that, highlight this, and get rid of that. To update those, I also can set filters, and I can add a filter over here. So maybe I'm looking for fields. I only want entry types here from my item ledger tables that are sales and that are sales, for example. So again, I start typing in entry. I can choose the type field, and then choose sales. As well as I can add another filter here, and I want to get my posting dates. So again, let's choose posting dates. And what I'm going to do with the posting dates, I'm going to say I want everything, let's say from 12/01/13, this is because I have demo data in these periods, 01/31/14, and I'm going to say user defined, which means when I run it, I can actually redefine the date ranges each time I generate. I'm going to say OK, and now at this point, I can refresh. Here's where I can update my date ranges. I can do a run, and that generates then all my sales ledger transactions into this table. From here, I can do things and take this data, do a pivot table, create a new worksheet. All the things you could do with Excel, I can do with Jet Express in real-time access to my Dynamics NAV 2013. Now, one thing I'll point out is there's a whole library of different reports here. And so I'm going to go out here to Windows 8. And these are the different reports. There's actually 20-plus reports provided with Jet Reports Express. And these reports allow you, you'll notice here for like sales, from this application here, if I double-click, it opens up the report here. I can open this in Excel. And what this will allow me to do then is it has slicers, so I can actually access information. This is my sales dollars. Here's my profit dollars. Here's my profit percents. And all this is off of this data, like I just showed, off of one of these ad hoc data queries. Then I put slicers up here, so how's Linda Martin doing? I can select Linda, and once I select Linda's tab here on the filters, well, I have to enable editing there, that might help. That will then filter the list here and only show Linda's activities as well as what country, region, state, city that she actually pertained to, or if we go to Peter Sato, for example. So these are the types of things that are provided out of the box with NAV 2013 with the Jet capabilities. Go ahead and close Excel down. And so this wraps up about gaining greater control. You saw all kinds of options there. The next area is about increasing margins. And this is really about driving efficiency and driving costs down and being able to, improve cash flow. We'll take a look at cash flow here. And also cost accounting, how you can better distribute your costs to find out your true profitability. So with that, let's jump back here. And what I want to do is we're actually going to take a look at an order processor's role center now to give you a different look at one of the 2013. So I'm going to open up Susan here, log in. And as I open up this role center, you'll notice that we have activity queues and a role center of an order processor, but we also have trailing sales orders here. This is another example of a specific chart that looks at sales orders. And each of these orders here, these are drilled down. So I can see I've got 13 orders that are open. I've got 4 orders that are pending approval. And I have 17 orders that have been released in this time frame. And as time goes on, you can actually see there's more orders in the various periods. Now from here, I can actually drill down. So for an order processor, I want to see what orders are open that need my attention. I can click. And that gives me a list of all the various orders. Now, the only problem with this list is some of these orders don't belong to me. If I go back over here to my role center, my customers are 10, 20, 30, 40,000. Those are the ones that I particularly work with. What we've done in NAV 2013 from these my type lists, my customers, my items, my vendors, is created a global filter to allow you to quickly filter on your customer list. So as I look at these sales orders here, what I'm going to do is take the cell to, I'm going to filter on the cell to customer number. And I'm going to use a %mycust, which is the global variable. And when I hit that, now notice it just filtered on the customers that are on my customer list. And now I can pay particular attention to those customers. Let's open up one of these sales orders here, for example. And as we look at this here, this one's it's open, and maybe I want to go ahead and actually send this one for approval. So by simply doing an action here and a send approval request, oh, well, I don't have the ID hooked up there, but what that would do is that would instantaneously, by moving them on, would update then the pending approval request in the trailing orders, so you could see the various statuses. You also have a status here. Slide this GoToMeeting out of the way. I minimize here. We also can have a status as well for the pending prepayments, which I don't have any of those created from this role. Now, what I'd like to do here is go enter in a sales invoice. So I'm going to go over here to sales invoices. And I want to demonstrate another feature called quick entry in Dynamics NAV. So as I hit enter to generate the sales order number, and we'll use the Canon group, you'll notice that my cursor here is going to jump to the external document number. And what forced that to happen is the ability, when you personalize the page under the fast tabs and you customize each tab, we have what's called quick entry. So quick entry will automatically jump the cursor from one field to the next field you need to enter to, but it still allows you to go back and make a change if you need to. So again, it's just a quick way to expedite, so we'll put in an external document number here, to expedite where the cursor goes. And if you wanted to go back and change the salesperson, you could do that, but if everything is default, it'll jump right to the next field and allow you to actually enter that. So let's go ahead here and enter an item. Let's do item 70,000 here, side panel. You'll notice the Find As You Type pulls up one of these. And what I want to show here now is when I post this, if I've got the job queue turned on, this invoice should go to a background. Notice here this has been scheduled for posting. So this is a way, I mean, in the case of a one-line invoice, that's not going to hold you up very long. But if you had an order, an invoice, let's say that was 50 lines on the order, and you go to post it, it's going to talk, in today's environment, that's going to lock up your client until everything's posted. What NAV 2013 has introduced is the abilities in sales and purchasing to set up background job queue posting. So what's happened, this has been sent to the background queue to post, and once it's completed posting, then what it will do is send a message here back to my role center. This invoice is successfully posted. And you'll notice right here in my notifications, I have this turned on 18th of June, invoice 1035, just successfully posted. So, that has been completed. Another area so if we looked at posted documents here, let's say maybe the invoice is posted and the customer would like to get a copy of the invoice emailed to them. So another feature we have as part of NAV 2013 is the Zeta Docs Express. So I'm going to jump over here to posted documents and just go to the bottom of my list here. And this is the one invoice that we just posted. And what you'll notice is that there's a fact box here. These fact boxes exist in the sales and purchasing sides. I've even added them myself personally to service orders and service contracts before as well. But this is the Zeta Docs fact box. And I can drop and drag files into here, as well as I opened up the posted sales shipment. I wanted the invoice. Let's go down here to the posted invoice. Let's get the right one there. And we'll open this up. And what I can do now is, with using Zeta Docs, I can actually save and send this document. So I'm going to click Save and Send. And what this will do is it'll pull the email address from the customer card and open up an email message with a PDF file of this invoice. Let's go ahead and say OK to that. And it'll open up our mail client. So here's the email address, and here's the PDF file for the sales invoice that I'm sending out. And I'm just going to go ahead and close that. And then I'm not going to save it. We won't send it. That email address is not valid. Now you'll notice that it's actually also uploading a copy of this document, and it actually uploaded it to SharePoint. In this case, it uploaded to SharePoint on-prem, but it also can update to SharePoint online through an Office 365 account. So if I would just jump back over here, I'm going to go back to my Role Center. Actually, I want to open up the SharePoint account. Let's go to SharePoint here. And in my SharePoint, this is my on-prem SharePoint. I have a Zeta Docs library, and there's a folder just created on June 18th. This is the sales invoice document. Besides creating the email, I also stored this up in SharePoint, a copy of that document, allowing non-users of NAV to access these documents for reference purposes. So again, another way that you can increase productivity by being able to quickly share information, across your organization. Now, I want to go back to the Role Center here for the order processor, and I want to touch on areas we call assembly management. And this is a feature that replaced the North America kitting that was around in NAV 5.0 and in 2009. And assembly management allows you to either assemble to stock or assemble to order with the application. I'm going to demonstrate the assemble to order. So I'm going to go ahead and do a new sales order here. So let's do new sales order. And we'll just use the Canon group. And in this case, I have it jumping to my posting date there. Put my external document number in. It jumps down to my lines. And we're going to actually order a 1928-W, which you'll notice this is an assembly BOM. And what I want to do here is I want to order, can't remember, yeah, I want blue. That's what I want to use, blue. And I'm going to order 1,100 of these. Now, when I put in the current quantity for 1,100, it tells me insufficient quantity. And what I can see here is that I have 1,100, ability to assemble. I have nothing to assemble there. And I can actually see my inventory as well. And what's happened here, once I create this order, it actually creates an assembly order. Let's try this again. I'm just going to go ahead and start over the line. So we'll do 1928-W is my assembly item. It says I have a lot of orders here. Let's see. And I think I might have left. Another sales order out there that's messing me up. Yeah, I definitely did. Because I can actually able to assemble none because I have another demand out there I left hanging out there. But what it gives you is immediate availability of what you can assemble based upon the bill of material. And so do that. And now I have an assembly order here, and you can see that availability warnings, I don't have enough stock of these items to be able to build these guys. And so it gives you immediate, this assembly order is married to that sales order. So any change on either one of those documents is instantaneous in an update between the sales demand, if you make a change in the assembly order or in the sales order. Also, this functionality works with reservations. It works also with all the warehousing functionality that's available, both basic and advanced warehousing is available for assembly to order. We also have the ability here to look at these items and a couple of item availabilities. One of them is by event. So as I open this up here, this is going to show me that I have some inventory out here. And this is actually showing me what was messing me up earlier. I had ordered 1022 for 1100 and ordered 1023. If I would, and that's kind of messed me up. But I can see I'm pegging by event. I can look by date and see the various, in this case, supply and demand. So here's the demand for the item, and there's the supply for the item that makes that up by event. I also have the ability on these lines now to look at it by bill of material level as well. So here I can go in at bill of material level, and I can see, for example, on this one, I have a bottleneck on my side panels, not enough of those in inventory. I also have this item available to make report that I can generate, that actually can generate, based upon day intervals, what I can actually produce based upon that item. Other things that are in NAV 2013, actually that go back to NAV 2009 R2, is the item availability timeline. And this allows you to visually look at item availability. So I'm going to look at the bicycles here, for example, and I'm going to go to item availability timeline. And what I can see here is this is my inventory for my bicycle. And then these are various production orders I have. And then I go out several months, and I have all this demand that goes negative. Now I'm going to just go over here and just go out to like end of August, September, and look at this time frame. And this is my productive inventory. You can see I'm getting into some serious trouble here with these sales order demands. But what I can do is I can run the planning worksheet. So let's just do POA. Let's do the planning worksheet here. Let's open that up. And I'm going to run the planning worksheet. I'm going to delete these guys out of here. And I'm going to calculate my planning worksheet for the month of September, which is in my timeline there. And I'm going to say we select these planning parameters. So what this does, based upon fixed order reports, this allows you to actually take action even though you have a message from the planning engine. So if I run this, for example, this planning worksheet without that selection, you'll see I get some recommendations here from the plan. I get recommendations from the plan of what I need to do based upon that demand in September. But if I generate this here with the exception message, it cuts down on the number of actually lines and still meets the demand. So here you'll notice I got some exceptions and attentions. And what happens is I can come back over here to my item availability now, and I can say reload this and include my planning suggestions. And as I drop and drag over here now I can see that those recommendations and to carry out my action messages has actually now taken care of satisfying that demand. And each of these items here can be right-clicked on, auto-adjusted, reset, deleted, create new supply. So you can graphically look at your inventory levels and again, increase your productivity about, where you want your levels at based upon your different types of order policies. You can look at all of that through the item timeline. So as you can see, from the standpoint of increasing margin, there's a lot of productivity things. From the standpoint of assembly management, being able to hold things into stock and assemble things at the last minute, to reduce your cost of holding things that you may assemble that you're not going to sell, as well as things such as the job queues or the quick entry or the Zeta doc, all these things that allow you to be able to increase your productivity. Now, the last area here is, about being able to drive growth in your organization. And that's really about, extending out to others besides folks in the office. So if you've got project managers or project people out in the field, being able to record time entry, or being able to, for example, use OneNote integration to bring information and communicate back in the office with things that happen out in the field. That's what we want to take a look at here in this section of the demonstration. So I'm going to jump back over here to my SharePoint. And you'll notice that here I have my timesheets. And one of the things that the timesheet functionality was created for is in NAV 2013 we have a new licensing model, a perpetual licensing model that has full users and limited users. And this functionality here, the timesheets, is functionality for a limited user. So this allows someone that is reporting time, and I'll open up the timesheet here for Mary example, and they can report absences as far as time. They can report time against a resource, against a job, against a service order, or as they're actually reporting in assembly orders, in the assembly BOM, you can have resources. And when you post those, the time from those can also show up on these managed timesheets. And what the timesheets allow the individual to do, in this case they're using the SharePoint interface to go in and report their time, and then when they're completed with the week, they can basically submit this to their manager. And then the manager, so let's go ahead and close down here, and let's just open up the Accounting Manager Windows client again. So as I open this up here, and if I go into, let's say, Manager, Timesheets, and look that up, this is where the manager can go and actually edit the timesheets. In this case, they've been approved. And then once they approve them, they can post the entries into the application. They also have the capabilities of where the managers can approve them. And maybe, depending upon how you break down your process of posting time, maybe someone else does the posting of job journals and stuff besides the managers. Then you can also use the job journal. So if I do job journal here, you'll notice the job journals, I can actually suggest lines in the job journals that are approved I can retrieve lines into the job journal from approved submitted timesheet entries into the application. One of the other things we've done in NAV 2013 is the ability to reach out and be able to communicate. And communicate with voice over IP. So you'll notice here in Customer 10,000, Tom P. Taylor, if I click on this, this is going to launch Skype. Now, and actually, this will work with whatever mail client that you have installed in your application. So on my production machine, here at the office, and not in my virtual machine where I'm at now, I have Link installed. So NAV will work with Link. When I press on a phone number, it'll dial through Link. Here I'm demonstrating on my virtual machine how it can work with Skype. And so again, by clicking that simple button, I can then call up and access folks through Skype. One other area here that, again, that can kind of extend out your organization would be the ability to bring, mobile applications and be able to connect those to Dynamics NAV. And what I'm going to do here is going to open up the jobs, for example. So these are jobs I have. And I have actually a job here where I am setting up work areas for the Deerfield company. And what I've done is I've integrated, in this case, with my job card, OneNote. And, OneNote is one of the Office products. And OneNote basically will work with any device. I mean, even on an iPhone, you can install OneNote. So I'm using a Windows phone, of course, a Microsoft employee. But what I just want to show you is this is a case where I want to collaborate with someone back in the office on this job. And so what I want to do here is I want to send a picture. Get that out of there. So I'm just going to say picture of workplace. And then what I've got is my Windows Phone. Now you can't see this, but what I'm doing is this OneNote document is up in my Office 365 account. So it's in the cloud. And what I'm going to be able to do here is on my phone, I also can connect to OneNote to that same document that we're viewing here on the screen in OneNote. And as I open this document up on my phone, I'm going to take a couple pictures. So one of them is going to be of my workplace. So I'm going to actually take a picture here, and I'll scoot back. You can see where I sit here in the Microsoft office in Cincinnati. I'm going to accept that. That's one picture. Now that's inserted into there. And now I'm going to take another picture of the date and time, so you know I'm not pulling a quick one on you here. So I'm going to zoom up to my screen here and get 12:08 there and accept that. So what's happening here now is I'm on my mobile device here taking pictures, and these pictures are being uploaded from my mobile phone up into my Office 365 account. And so in a second here, I'm going to jump out. I'm just going to make sure things refresh here on this end. I'm just going to go ahead and force a sync for it. It says it's syncing now. So what I'm accessing is, in this case, the OneNote. And let's see, it's still waiting to sync. Give it one more second here. And I should be able to open it up. And then you'll see those two additional pictures I took. And so think about if you're a service organization and you're servicing things in the field, you've got a broken pump or something. There's all kinds of ways you could work this integration, into a job scenario. So I'm going to open up OneNote here, and I hope these pictures come up. Oh, it's asking me to log in here. Maybe that's what I need to do. Let's go ahead and log in. This is my, must have got logged on. I was in here earlier. Okay, let's sign in here, and we'll hope this works out. We'll see. I'm not sure I got signed in there correctly, because it says it's all synced here. Aha, there we go. So you can now see. Nope, it still didn't sync. Yeah, there it did right there. So now you can see, here's the picture. And so this is the date and time, 12:08 p.m., and this is the picture of my workstation. So again, these are different ways you can extend the NAV client out, using SharePoint to reach outside your organization, using Link, and using things like OneNote and the Office integrations. So again, all of this through SharePoint is real time. It's the same business logic that you use in the web client or in the Windows client, and it's data directly into Dynamics NAV as demonstrated. Now, this is just a list. We have looked at many of the things here around individual productivity today. Some of the things of financial management. One of the things I should mention is there's been work on performance there around geo entry table locking, as well as also the dimensions have been basically redesigned and use a lot less space and much faster. They've created dimension sets that tremendously reduces the amount of space as well as the time to process dimensions. Cash flow, actually intended to show that to you, and I jumped over it somehow today, but there's a cash flow chart that's on that Lowell Center for the accounting managers that shows cash, and you can look at your positions of incoming and outgoing cash across time. Cost accounting, being able to take data out of the general ledger, put it into a cost accounting module, and then create different structures based upon cost centers and cost objects to be able to allocate cost different ways. As well as also in warehouse management, there's been a new inventory movements transaction created. The automatic data capture system in NAV 2013 has been changed to use web services. COM is no longer available, in NAV 2013, so the web services were changed. And then over in supply chain, I mean, we saw assembly management, the item availabilities, the calculate and carry out, demonstrated that with the planning worksheets, just to give you a feel for all the things that are provided in NAV 2013. So with that, you know, Dynamics NAV 2013 is a business solution from Microsoft, and you know, it's built upon Microsoft's reputation in the market. It's built on the simplicity of the application that's carried forward, you know, from the past versions of NAV. It's very easy to use and friendly for people familiar with Microsoft technologies. And it is a solution. As you can see, it incorporates not only NAV, but the Microsoft, you know, the Windows, the mobile phone, the Office products, the SharePoint, SQL, all the different tools, as well as also being available in the cloud, either partner-hosted or in a Microsoft data center via a partner. So with that, we went over a little bit today, but I'll go ahead and turn it back over now to Tom, I assume.
Great. Thank you, Tom. I want to thank everyone for hanging in. So what I'd like to do is just go over 2 quick offers and then open up the floor. Andy's been collecting a lot of your questions out there. Tom, if you can just go to the next slide there.
Absolutely.
I want to just talk very briefly. Time's running out for this offer. Many customers and prospects that Clients First is aware of this, but for those of you that were not aware of this, there is a lapsed customer campaign to get you back on maintenance renewal. The key thing here is that you may have originally bought the maintenance at the time of your purchase. Maybe you haven't re-upped in a while. Microsoft is waiving all of the previous back year penalties that were in order to get you back up onto BREP. So the way that this works is you go back for 15 months of a lapsed renewal plus pay 1 year ahead. There's been various plans and projects that have been up. This is probably one of the best ones that I've seen out there in order to help you get back on maintenance that will allow you to migrate and upgrade if you're a current customer of NAV over to 2013. And if you can just go ahead and click through that. There's a transition here.
I'm sorry. There you go.
No problem. I've already, if you can go to the next slide, please, Tom.
Yep.
I just want to show you an example of, you know, perhaps like many of you, a customer that purchased about 10 years ago, did their original, wants to now upgrade, add users or other functionality. You do need to be current on your Microsoft maintenance. So the way it is calculated is it's going to look at your suggested list price or your purchase protected list price, depending on whichever one has the larger suggested list price. For Microsoft NAV, it's always at 16%. So your year going forward is calculated there as an example of 7280. Based on days lapsed, since it goes back 15 months, you come up with a daily rate of what the 7280 is, multiply that by 455, and you get your re-enrollment fee of $9,075, or to get you back up, if you haven't paid in 10 years for this example, you would only be paying $16,335.07. So it's a really good program. Microsoft has pushed this out. I know Clients First has been pushing this out to people. We want to make you aware of it because this does end on Friday if you had an interest in moving ahead and were interested in trying to upgrade from where you left off on maintenance. So it's something to either talk to Andy about if you have a question, or we can you know, have you work with your current partner. The next slide then, Tom, if you could move to it, please, is that there are a number of white papers that are out here that we have available. You can just let Andy know if you have an interest to do a comparison and to look at that, and to also be able to see what's new in NAV 2013. So this would be available to you if you have interest. At this time, if you can go to the next slide, as I mentioned at the start of this, Andy Conti, who is our marketing manager, is online, and she's been collecting a number of your questions. If you have any, you do have a question button there that you can submit the questions. And Andy, I'll open it up to you to ask the questions, and Tom and I will see if we can answer them for you.
Great, thanks, Tom. Our first question came in closer to the beginning. Can you still have multiple databases on the same SQL server?
Tom, I don't know if you want to answer that, but the answer is still yes, you can have multiple versions on SQL Server. I don't know, is there anything else you have to add to that, Tom?
No.
Go right ahead, Andy.
All right. Our next one is, what version of Excel is required for the Send to Excel feature?
2010 for sure. I'd have to check on 2007. I'd have to look at system. I know 2010 for sure, and 2013. I'm not sure about 2007. I need to check the systems requirements. And you could actually check that on MSDN if you went out to the NAV 2013 system requirements. They would have it listed out there as well. So.
All right. Does the ad hoc feature of Jet Reports adhere to the native security of NAV?
Okay, so I can answer. It's actually, it adheres to the SQL security where NAV and the SQL database are set up. So with Jet, as you know, you register the person that's going to be using it, and it will look through the SQL security parameters that are currently set up.
All right, and we had another question. What replaces the object designer?
The object designer in NAV 2013, the object designer is in the classic client. It's called the development environment. So when you install 2013, you get the Windows client, and you also get the development client, which is the object designer. So I hope that answers the question.
All right, and another good question is the CRM adds-on. Is the CRM an add-on feature, or is it included in the packaging?
Well, there's relationship management that's been in NAV for a long time in the sales and marketing area of NAV, and that's not an add-on. But then there's also, and I don't think I talked about this, is the Microsoft connector to Microsoft CRM, and that would be, you'd have to acquire Microsoft CRM if you use that. So I hope that answers your question. Anything to add, Tom?
No, that's how I would have answered the same question. I wasn't sure. I assume they're talking about the CRM connector that they potentially could get, but that is a separate price to get the connector.
Well, I think the connector is included, but you'd have to buy Microsoft CRM license. The connector, I think, comes with the product. I don't think you have to buy that. So.
Woohoo! You get a free thing.
Yeah.
Andy, what else do we have?
But you got to have the license to get the Microsoft CRM. So.
We have another question here. Where is the default location for saving charts?
There's a session called Generic Charts in NAV 2013. The generic charts are saved there. So like when I said copy that chart, it saved it in Generic Charts. So if you went to your search bar on the Role Center and typed in generic, you would find the generic chart page along with all the charts that have been defined.